And so if the walls of our capital are not secular, why do we think that the walls of our schools must be?
This does not contribute to a positive learning climate and may be disruptive, divisive, and distracting.
That's not an environment kids can learn in. And you can learn an environment that doesn't have a pride flag. We've been doing it for decades. I don't have kids in the school district, but I do pay taxes, and I do care.
Children are dying, hundreds of thousands dying from these vaccines.
Are you also aware that the large majority of people who went to January 6th were peaceful and attended because of their deep care for the country and the freedoms of the Constitution?
The Moms for Liberty state that they are taking back parental rights. You cannot take back something you've never lost.
A pride flag is not political. It simply isn't. Love is not political. It will never be.
This policy isn't about preventing indoctrination. It's about preventing support for marginalized students.
This school board is pandering to the interest of a loud and fanatical minority, one fanatical enough to warrant the harming of children as a means to an end.
Now this board is such an embarrassment and a travesty that you've had to hire a PR firm to spin your policies and a lawyer to defend civil rights abuses that you created.
By your own words in this toxic policy, you invite someone to declare their belief that over 6 million Jewish men, women, and children, gypsies, members of the LGBTQ community, and the disabled were not murdered by the Nazis because it never happened. Your words justifying this toxic policy invite misinformation and lies into the classroom.
A pride flag does not cause harm to anyone. Having open communication about the LGBTQ+ community does not turn someone gay or harm anyone. Removing pride flags does harm people. Not having accepting communication and a safe, accepting environment is harming and killing students. Pride flags were created to promote unity and inclusion. Up until recently, there was no political connection to pride flags. Pride flags were not designed to follow along with a certain political party or agenda.
I don't think there is one straight student in CB who has complained and said a pride flag made them uncomfortable. But notice how LGBTQ students and people say all the time how seeing pride flags makes them feel safe and welcome.
Supporting a student for being their true self is the very least a teacher or staff member can do for them, and this policy prevents even as simple of a gesture as that.
I'm seeing my support in the school slowly be taken away, one thing at a time, while veiled behind a story of neutrality and balance. People's identity can be made up of so many things: likes, dislikes, interests, talents, values, and beliefs. And for me, a part of that is things like my sexuality and gender. It is a part of me, and it is a part of all of us. Taking away the ability to express support for people like me does not stop us from existing. You cannot silence us and force us into the cookie-cutter version you desire.
Trans and non-binary adolescents experience feelings of depression and anxiety at almost universal levels. And even these conversations at school board meetings contribute to those feelings as people stand here and discuss whether LGBTQ+ students should be visible and supported.
You have created a hostile environment that opens the door for bigotry and bullying. Another disturbing thing I heard during public comment in November was that human rights and social justice are left-wing extremist ideas. These are ideas that should be important to everyone, especially those invested in our children's education. They are about protecting the rights and dignity of everyone, and they acknowledge that not everyone has been treated fairly or valued and respected equally by our society. That's why it's important to affirm the rights of marginalized groups with things like pride symbols or Black Lives Matter signs. It's also important for kids to have the freedom to learn about social issues and share viewpoints under the guidance of educational professionals.
Being gay or transgender is part of someone's identity. It is not a political statement that a student is making and with which others can agree or disagree. It is their identity and must be respected.